All right, let me start this out by saying I've never seen a Godzilla movie before. I've just never been a big monster movie kind of guy. The closest thing to a creature feature I've ever seen is probably like the King Kong ride at Universal in Florida. I can certainly understand the history and the cultural significance and symbolism of Godzilla, but I just never really had any interest in the silliness of it. And that's what I've always understood these movies to be, are, silly movies that might be fun to watch while drunk or high one night, but that's about it. And then I saw people talking about Godzilla Minus One. They were saying that it's a grounded movie, it really makes you care about the characters, and most significantly, they were saying that it's really good. And so I went and saw Godzilla Minus One, and let me tell you, this movie's really fucking good. This is not a movie where you're watching Godzilla fuck everything up and you're sitting there munching on popcorn going, hell yeah, King, do your thing. You really feel the scale and the consequences of Godzilla's destruction in this movie. This is a story about the people who have to deal with these consequences. And these characters really feel human and relatable. They all have flaws and distinct personalities and roles and motivations that really make you connect with the characters and root for them. This is a story about sacrifice, about working together for the common good. A lot of times you'll hear a character say something like, well, if we don't do this, who will? I will say the only monster movie that I've really seen is Cloverfield, and so that was my point of reference going in, and I expected a very similar kind of hopeless tone in this movie. But actually, the tone is a lot more like 1917, which is another movie that I absolutely loved, where it feels hopeful and you get the sense that the characters just need to keep going, and you really feel the power of human perseverance. In Cloverfield, you get the feeling that none of this matters, but that's really not the case here. You really feel hopeful even as you watch these characters get their shit rocked again and again no matter what they try. We really find ourselves invested in the success of these characters. And the third act of this movie is just a fantastic culmination of everything that comes before it. Our heroes come up with one final plan, and each of them gets a unique role and gets their own moment in the spotlight, and it builds up to a really satisfying conclusion. We feel the massive scale of this final battle as well as the massive stakes, and it's super gripping and emotional. Of course, we can't just talk about the humans, because when you go to a Godzilla movie, you want to see Godzilla, and rest assured, Godzilla's design is excellent. Literally from the first shot of Godzilla, I was in. He looks and sounds epic. All the animation of his movements is really well done. I especially really liked his heat ray. There's this kind of loading animation that he has, and it's just really cool. The movie's also shot really well, in particular the action sequences. When you're dealing with a 200-foot monster, it's really difficult to frame your shots in a way that doesn't make the movie seem ridiculous. And I think that's something that the American Godzilla movies have really leaned into, but that's not at all the case here. It feels very grounded and real. The sound design in this movie is also really good. Godzilla's roar is awesome, and the score is iconic, and it really enhances the tone throughout the film. There were a couple of minor problems I had with the movie. Towards the end, there's a moment where one character is giving instructions to another character, and he says one more thing, and then the dialogue cuts out as a way to set up a reveal later. The problem is, it was really obvious what the one more thing was, so it kind of sucked out all the drama of that reveal. I liked the idea of it, and I really liked the character moment that it set up, but I just wish that it was executed a bit differently so that it maintained that drama. The only other issue I had was there was one scene at the beginning that I thought was a bit too dark, but that also could have just been my theater. Neither of those are major issues, and those are really the only problems that I had with the movie at all. So yeah, Godzilla's doing really well right now, and it's easy to see why. This is the best action movie that I've seen in a long time, possibly since Mad Max Fury Road came out almost a decade ago. If you've seen Godzilla Minus One, I'd love to know your thoughts, and if you haven't, I strongly recommend you go check it out.